If you are a Cowboys fan, this is the YouTube channel for you. Even if we disagree on the best path, we all just want the Dallas Cowboys to win. If that's something you want and you want free Cowboys videos, hit that sub button for me right now. Okay, so we did this on a short last night. Promised to do the full video on it, and we will. Michael Gehlken of the Dallas Morning News reporting that, hey, maybe the Cowboys could have interest here in one of Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott as veteran free agent backs. Here's what Gehlken wrote. Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook are two veteran options who stand to draw strong club consideration as free agency progresses. Even though we're kind of like almost over with. I'm sorry, I'm being too negative too early. Team owner Jerry Jones and executive VP Stephen Jones told the Dallas Morning News this week at the NFL's annual meeting they could not confirm nor deny interest in the backs. While they declined to comment, anyone contemplating the Cowboys' direction at the spot would be wise to monitor the veteran running backs in conjunction with a rookie pick. Multiple people familiar with the players' thinking told the news veterans have interest in potentially signing with Dallas. Oh, boy. First off, not surprising at all those players want to sign in Dallas. Nobody else wants them. Look, I get you need running back help, and that still remains the case when we're 2 weeks, well into NFL free agency at this point. And your move has been to lose Tony Pollard, bring back Rico Dowdle on a non-guaranteed contract. He's got like $200,000 guaranteed. He's not a roster lock by any stretch of the imagination. You do need running back help. This is not help. These are not good free agent targets in the year 2024 of our Lord. It is not a good plan to do what you need to do and be better on the ground. I'm sorry to be mean. I'm sorry to be negative. I know there's been a lot of that on the channel lately. I am unhappy with the direction of this franchise across the board. This is not a good strategy. It's not. Not in 2024. 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Hell yeah, let's ride. There are viable reasons why we haven't heard a peep about their market, and I hope when I tweet this out, Dalvin Cook does not find it and get mad at me since he does follow me on Twitter at this point, which is part of why he wants to be a Cowboy, right? So pick one to sign. If you had to pick one, I'll give you the backdoor neither option too. E for Ezekiel Elliott, DC for Dalvin Cook, or for neither, type in no. Here's why it's a no from me. These guys just aren't good anymore, or at least not good enough to help you in the way you need to help this team out at the moment. The numbers are not lying to you, folks. Dalvin Cook, 3.2 yards per carry. And we can't say it was just the supporting cast's fault when, hey, you know what? Breece Hall was averaging almost a yard per carry more. That's not exactly a good thing. Ezekiel Elliott has had his numbers, his yards per game have dropped every single season of his career, by the way. His yards per carry have gone in a negative direction. He had a half yard per carry less on average than Ramondre Stevenson did this past year. And I would rather have Ezekiel Elliott than Dalvin Cook. And we made the comments last year, hey, he might be Dalvin Cook when he was available in free agency. And he was even worse than I thought he was going to be. I can find 3.5 yards per carry from an undrafted free agent. I can find that Hunter Lipke can do that for me as long as he's not fumbling again, which of course was an issue. And you're probably saying, but Tom, the red zone, the short yardage stuff, they weren't very good there. And you're right. They weren't good enough there. And Ezekiel Elliott was worse. And I get it's different offensive schemes and everything, and it's not quite a one-to-one comparison, but Zeke wasn't the only thing that changed. Your run scheme was bad last year. Your O-line didn't do a great job of blocking. Here are the red zone stats, all per Pro Football Reference. Obviously a bigger workload for Tony Pollard than Ezekiel Elliott, but the first down ratio for Pollard Zeke is like the only thing that's slightly in favor of Zeke. 2.1 yards per carry in the red zone. Not like he was punching in a bunch anyway. He went fewer opportunities, absolutely, but Rico Dowdle was more effective. Frankly, I think you should have given Rico more run in the red zone than he did to Tony Pollard. That's just me. Short yardage stats. That's defined as inside of 3 yards to go, down in distance, regardless of down, just the distance. Okay? And we got 12 more carries for Tony Pollard total, and he had double the first downs. Rico Dowdle was actually very effective in short yardage. 13 carries, 9 of them went for first downs. It's fancy, colorful, graphics, whatever. The numbers aren't lying here. Cook and Zeke are not the guys we remember. This is not prime rookie contract Ezekiel Elliott, who was maybe the best back in football. This is not 5 yards per carry, dynamic, explosive Dalvin Cook. These guys aren't that guy anymore. They don't make you better on the ground. It still falls into the category of, hey, when you're giving those guys touches over, the draft pick you had, and hell, even Dowdle, that's probably a negative for you. I hope this is the classic, the vets are just trying to draw interest, get themselves linked to the Dallas Cowboys, because if the offseason plan is we signed a veteran linebacker, I'm happy they did that, and we brought back Zeke and signed Dalvin Cook, what are we doing? It's not a viable strategy to win games or even tank properly, because why are you having a veteran do that? None of it makes sense. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big sporting event, concert, music, comedy, etc. And oh, by the way, Game Time also has the Game Time guarantee. It's the best price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and they've always got deals going on as well. They've got football, basketball, zone deals, flash deals. The zone deals are awesome. You pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings as well. So download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but the link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's promo code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Appreciate Game Time sponsoring us here at the Cowboys Report. Let's move to Micah Parsons. And this one will gain some traction. I saw it on social media later last night. Among other things, as part of a conversation of, should you even pay Micah, which we'll get to, NFL defensive coach says Micah's just average when the Cowboys need him the most. Here is the rather lengthy, in-depth reporting from Jory Epstein. So this will be in the description too, so you can go back and read it. Mentioned you should pay CeeDee Lamb. Maybe not Micah. He's an interesting one because I was talking to another defensive coach from a different team about this, and I was trying to understand because on one hand, we see Micah sack numbers, we see what he can do, but think about the biggest games they had against San Francisco, the playoff games. What did Micah do in those games? And I had one coach tell me, when the Cowboys are winning, Micah's a Hall of Fame player. When the Cowboys need him most, he's pretty average. And I was asking, well, if he's taking some plays off, like people say, Chris Jones takes plays off. I think he's worth the money. He's helped the Chiefs to Super Bowls. And this coach, I think, wisely told me, Chris Jones takes plays off. Chris Jones takes some plays, but he makes them when they matter the most. Micah's not 100% on all plays, but he kind of makes them when they matter at least. I'm not saying least, but he's not making them when they matter most. And I know when I told this to someone in the front office, I started naming some other people on that roster, and I think that's something like culturally for the Cowboys. A lot to unpack there. Number one, why does Micah get no credit when they're winning games? Right? This is kind of my issue with, and this is not unique to Micah. This is true for a lot of different players on a lot of different teams. We take the full, let's just say 20-game sample size, including playoffs, which of course you don't get 20 with this team, but whatever, even number. And we go, okay, only 5 matter. Now, wait a minute. We're cutting off a significant portion of the games in the process here. And that's not a good process to go about it. It's what matters the most in the end. It's a results-based business, but still need to be process-oriented some. By the way, Micah saw this. Because my biggest complaint about Micah Parsons is he's chronically online and he won't log off sometimes. He and Trayvon Diggs did not like it. And this is the problem I have here. Every time there's a contract negotiation coming up for the Cowboys, why is there always a negative story? Why is there always something, whether it's the Cowboys or media or whatever, of, maybe this guy's actually not good. I'm like, we know he's good. Why does that always happen? This team will never beat they negotiate through the media allegations. They do it consistently. And then eventually cave and pay the guy, right? Why is this stuff always so hard? And I know the real contract talks aren't going to happen for a year for Micah because this team kind of always drags their feet a little bit. But hey, the vibes are bad, man. The vibes are bad. I've got more on this here because apparently this is now a conversation. Do you want to extend Micah Parsons? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section. Despite some valid concerns, including the playoff stuff, it's a resounding yes. Here is the list of NFL sack leaders through their first 3 years in pro football history. It's Reggie White, Derek Thomas, Aldon Smith, Micah Parsons, and Dwight Freeney. It's 3 Hall of Fame players, a guy that was on a Hall of Fame track before he developed some off-the-field issues, and your guy. Yeah, I'd pay that dude. Like, come on. The odds of you getting a guy that can do that are incredibly limited. Right? And I get it. That this all comes back to playoff wins. I understand that. And frankly, it's fair. Because it's not that we're heaping 28 years of disappointment onto a handful of players, but I get that is the end goal. And you need your best players. This goes for Dak. This goes for Micah. This goes for everyone on the roster, especially your coaching staff, to be at their best when it matters the most. But it's still a bad process to only pick a few games a year. Do you know why? Because 4 teams a year get to make it to the conference championship games. That's it. So if there has to be a sliding scale. It cannot be black and white of, hey, you didn't make it, everyone sucks. It can be you didn't make it, that's disappointing, you have to be better, not throw them all out. You know? This isn't angels in the outfield where the coach gets to go, I need a whole new team. The GM was right when he said, I can't give you a whole new team, Mel. That's not how this works. Like, it's not feasible. It's throwing the baby out with the bathwater and going, well, this is our best defensive player. If we're power ranking the issues, he's probably not top 5. Well, he sucks. That's my issue here. And I hate that it's certain players and at certain times more often than not. The goalposts, in the end, it's all about Super Bowls. I get that. That's what it needs to be based on. But if the process is, well, you know what, he hasn't performed in the playoff games, we're only going to focus on, 3 games a year and ignore the other, 15, whatever games it is. That's a bad process. And that's going to lead to, this team is not mediocre. I am upset with them. I am disappointed in them. And I think there's a lot of players we can make this argument about that we seem to not really focus on and ignore them. And ignore the front office, by the way, in the whole process of it, because it's never their fault somehow from their perspective. So, I get the frustration. A lot of it's fair. Let's not lose the forest for the trees here.